Okay.
When I was in Nordhausen, the reason I was in Nordhausen, there was a concentration camp, Camp Dora. Next to the camp was a mountain. The Germans had camouflaged so perfectly that they knew that this V2 factory was inside that mountain. But within 50 feet, you couldn't tell it. So every night they bombed it. They wouldn't hit the mountain. They were trying to hit they would hit the railroad track, and they repaired. So anyway, they used the labor from the concentration camp to do the dirty work the first thing we did, we went to concentration camps. You saw the pictures.
Did you you liberated camps?
What?
So you got there and liberated?
Yeah, I went in the camp. You couldn't get them to eat. They couldn't eat it. The food we had.
What happened when Americans arrived at the camp?
All the guards had fled. And the one was a pile. Someone on the bottom was still alive.
Pile of bodies.
They were ready to be burned in the oven, and most of them were so weak. They gave them a cigarette. They couldn't eat. They couldn't. Made them sick until we can get the medical team in there.
Everybody knew about these camps. I mean, that wasn't a secret.
No, I don't know. I didn't know about it until we got to that area. I didn't know that it came. I know Buchenwald. I know.
You had heard of them.
Yeah, but I hadn't heard. I didn't know that factory was there either. But I'm sure. So what I did with the factory, I put it off limits. Put MPs there until. They could get some American scientists in there to see what they did is they rolled the material in, on the other side of the mountain the V2 came out, but they had this heavy water plant and they all white tile and everything.
So they were that's where they were working on their atomic program.
No, the V2 was not atomic. It was a bomb, a flying bomb.
But what was the heavy water for?
Fuel. Well, listen, when I was in Belgium, there was a farmer plowing his field with oxen, whatever, and there comes a buzz bomb over. You could hear him. That this was the V1, the Earth. He didn't even look up. I said, my God. Then I found out, as long as you heard the buzz, it's going over. When it quits, that's when it hits. They did a lot of damage in England and covered with those things, but they couldn't hit exact target because the V2 was improved. Yeah, they were working on this Brown or whatever his name. They were working not in this place. If the war had been much longer, all the war industry would have been underground. I don't know how they.
So the concentration camp that you liberated was right next to the V2 factory?
Right next to. They used them until they were so weak, then they killed them and got a new crew. And they worked in the part where water was dripping all the time. I don't know what they did, I don't know. But they get too close with most of them. And then
Did
they
you
were
talk
back.
to any of the prisoners?
What?
Did you talk to the prisoners much?
Yeah, I couldn't. They were in terrible shape. It was an awful sight. You really didn't want to talk to anybody. Really. Those ovens like that lined up there. literally one survived. They put him in hospital and I mean, a skeleton almost. They didn't. When he got too weak to work, they killed him. But that's what it was our job to find these guards, and we arrested the assistant commander of Auschwitz. I had a picture of him behind. He was in private uniform, you couldn't tell.
How'd you find it?
We just, he was, it's great, I mean, he was a good, there were German soldiers all over the place trying to go home. It's another mess.
Wait, how did you find that? I mean, out of all those soldiers, you found the assistant commander of Auschwitz.
Well, in the first place, you look under his arms, he had an SS tattoo. And you listen to his talk. In Germany, you can tell different sections, different dialect. If they say they came from Dresden and talked like somebody from Berlin, I know he was lying. You see.
What happened to him?
I don't know.
Sure.
Arrested him. That was one of the trouble with Patton. He was at this Regensburg was his headquarters, but he lived up in the castle, some baron and baroness from I forgot their name, Shun, but they influenced administration, and he decided that he declare an amnesty up to a certain rank for all the prisoners we had arrested. They let them all go. And then we had disapproved his appointment for...
Who's we?
The CIC men, the other fellow was with me.
How many CIC men were there? Working with, working...
I just had two.
There were just two?
Two of us. But I had MP squad. I had these interpreters that they didn't know what to do with them, and anybody that didn't know what to do with, they attached to it.
So there were two officers, two
agents. But I went with an agent from another part, a fellow named Lee. I'd met him, and he and I went to see Patton.
What was his last name? Do you remember his
name? Lee was his last name, was Lee. I forgot his first name.
And so you were disapproving of Patton's...
We had to approve anybody they appointed for office, mayor, or governor, whatever. The CIC had to approve, check their background. And the easiest thing was to appoint the guy that was already there, which were Nazis. And that's what Patton did. Then we disapproved it. We turned him down. That made him mad. And then, then on top of it all, he declared an amnesty for all these Nazis.
So you would write your memos, and who did you send them to?
To General. I sent one man to the division headquarters, one to Frankfurt, which was the European headquarters. General Key, I think was the name. He was in intelligence. And Patton got in trouble, and then he got in more trouble with the Russians.
Why he got in trouble for what?
He made a speech about against the Russians when they're supposed to be allied, but that was played up big in the picture, but basically it was his administration.
And
he was some guy. He had I think I told you that he had the governor of Bavaria, the title this long, and his fellow Lee and I sat there in officers in uniform, no rank. He says, "Who shall I believe?"
Wait, you were in his office?
Yes.
He called you in. Why did he call you in?
Because because we were turning down his apartments. And we like that amnesty.
So you walk into his office. I'm just trying to.
Oh yeah, it wasn't easy getting it. Yeah, well, we had an appointment with him.
Okay.
And he had the governor of Bavaria there, and that guy had a title this long. He says, "Who shall believe? Baron from whatever, or you two SOBs? I don't even know your goddamn rank." That was the answer I got. Yes, sir. Good.
Is that what you said?
I said, we just do what we're doing our duty, what we're supposed to do. It wasn't very short, but he was transferred shortly after that to a paper army, and that's where he was killed in the accident.
Why was he transferred?
Because he made such a mess of the administration. He was a great tank commander. And he saved the Battle of the Bulge. I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due. But he was crazy. Absolutely. He believed in
What was it like in his office? Was he sitting or standing or?
He was sitting.
You're standing there at attention.
We all sit down. He was mad because we disapproved his appointments. He was influenced by that couple very much. He was awed by the Baron from whatever the place there. Oh, I had a lot of trouble with some of those guys that were attached to me. One of them, Lieutenant Silverman was his name. We were in this castle in Chili's. I heard this hammering going on. I went in and I said, "What in the heck are you doing?" So I'm packing up pictures. He was taking the original paintings were worth fortune, but send them home. And he did all kinds. So finally, I went to my headquarters, who was in charge of this team. I said, I got to do something. I got to get rid of him. And then he was dealing with the Germans with trying to buy gold. So anyway, I said, he says, "I'll tell you what we do. We'll see is send him home because of battle fatigue." So sure enough, we sent him home. You won't believe this. They put him in the port of embarkation and made him a captain. Should put him in jail. That guy, I was so damn mad. I made a point that the CIC does not take anything. Guns, we used to make them turn up. All the Germans had to turn cameras, guns, and I made a point that we, because you have access to it, everybody thinks you're going to. And this guy was Lieutenant Silverman. I had a lot of problems with some of those times. But I mean, I was just concerned of the reputation of the. I didn't need anything. I did go to the Rosenberg, the famous porcelain, to the factory and bought some bowls and things, and that was paid for. That's the plan. And when Henry Hess got married, Mom and I didn't know what in the world we would give. Poor us. This was after the war, and I was working at the store, $50 a week. So we gave him one of the bowls that we bought, and they were crazy about it. And later on, when we were at the condo in Fort Lauderdale, she said she didn't remember we gave him that ball. Says loved that ball so much I decorated the colors. Anyway, she didn't remember we gave it. But anyway.
Tell me about you had told me once about interrogating Germans and what language you spoke and how that worked.
Right.
But you interrogated them, but you had an interpreter.
Oh yeah. Well, I had a. That was after the war. I put my office in the local courthouse, and I hired a secretary who was from England. She married a Lutheran minister in Germany, and he got in trouble with the Nazis because of religion. And she spoke English and the perfect German. I could dictate her in English and she write it in German. So I used her for interrogation a lot of times. I sit there like I didn't know a word. She asked me questions in German and she told me in English. Until I found out whether if they were lying or not, then I jump up and grab them and shout at them, "You damn liar!" and get them so surprised to me. I I never heard anybody. I did it with psychology. That worked a lot of times.
They didn't know you knew German.
No, she was an interpreter. And I didn't write anything down. And then I tell her in English and she would ask the question, and they would answer, and when I put things together, that was pretty good. She was good. I paid her. She was the highest paid secretary in that town. And I had a policeman that had been a policeman before Nazis. If I wanted to pick up somebody that wasn't dangerous, he'd go and arrest them. You know, he loved it. And I had a chauffeur. I put them all in the payroll. And when I got home, Al Ferguson, the other fellow that was with me, called me and says, the Army has instructed that all employees have to be approved by the Army, and the Army will pay for them, no more German payrolls. I thought if we were going to govern in Germany, they can pay for it. The German money wasn't more than anything. I put them all on the payroll, the courthouse.
How long did you stay in Germany after the war?
6 months.
So you were there until the end of 1945?
I got home in January 46.
You came to Ripley?
Came to Ripley. And I couldn't find a suit. Dad had written me want to know what size suit I wear. I said, what in the world do you want to know what size? So anyway, I'd send it to him. And I came home, he tried every one of his soldiers. Couldn't get a suit.
Why not?
There weren't any. They were rationed. So I wanted to see my folks in St. Louis, but I didn't want to, I was tired of wearing a uniform. So all I could find was a leisure jacket. When I got back home, back to Ripley, somebody says, I know where they got suits. McGowan's in Covington has suits. I went to McGowan's, and sure enough, they had a Hartshef and Mark flannel suit, $60, which was a big prize. I bought it. I was so proud of it. I just sit down in it, and the whole seat, the stuff was old, it was tender. And then I got to wear the suit. And then finally they got more fun for it.
So that was the first time you lived in Ripley, right? After the war?
Yeah, permanently. I mean, before that I was there. I was stationed in Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, and you could get a 3-day pass once and the 3-day pass would start on Monday. That was Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I would leave on Friday night, take the night train to Memphis. I'd be there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'd take the night train back. I had a 5-day holiday. I did that about 3 times because I think it was Oklahoma. Lee was just a baby then. And then I think the last time she went back with me. So anyway.
So you came to Ripley, and where did you live? And you started working.
Working in the store. It was just one side of the store. You saw a picture of the old store. That's the way it looked when I came here.
They only owned half of it?
Half of it. Did you ever see that picture of the old inside of it?
Which side did they own?
This one right there. And this one was a dime store. Their lease was up and they wouldn't get out. I wanted to make the store larger. I had time getting them out. They were paying very little rent, $75.
Wait, did the Bergs own the dime store? Or they just didn't.
No. This was a chain, a McElroy.
But who owned the building?
They owned the Berg Estate owned the Berg.
But they couldn't. They only had the store on one side.
Yeah, they built back during the Depression, and they didn't think that. And upstairs was the doctor's office. They needed to. I mean, times were hard, and that's big enough. And in 1948, I wanted to remodel the store. I finally got them. Dad said, if you can do it for $10,000, you can do it. Rice Sticks, which was a wholesaler, used to design, come down and make a design. I didn't, and plans and fixtures. The first bid I got just for the fixtures was $9,600. That didn't work. I had to. So anyway, I finally found a guy in Memphis. I got a big 5,200 or 52. I said, I'll be down to sign it. I don't know how much money he lost on it. He said, he told me, he says, you know, my dad was in this business and I took it over. And this is the last fixtures of it, and he became a builder. He built the 100 North Main building. He built skyscrapers in New Orleans. He never did go back in fixture business.
And so, where did you live?
Well, first we rented a house on the highway, and they wanted to sell it to us for $5,000, but I wouldn't buy it. We wouldn't buy it because we were afraid that Lee would run across the highway. So I had inherited a lot on our street, and